Okay, welcome to the O2 in London, and tonight I'm here with a gentleman I've known for a long, long time and who's also a sticksman for Kasabian. So Ian Matthews, thank you for looking after us. And
no problem at all.
I want to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, for those that don't know, you became involved in ownership of a drum company.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
How did that come about and how's that going?
Well, it's going really well. It came about because I was invited up to Scotland to do the Scottish Drum Fair up there. And Keith was up, who is now, the main partner in the company, British Drum Company. At the time he was with Premier. And he kind of came up, really, I don't think he was representing Premier, but I just think he came up for his own thing, really, because he knew Dave and stuff. And I kind of met him after the show. I'd done my bit, and it kind of always freaks me out doing that. And so I just wanted a pint afterwards. And so me and Keith literally found each other at the bar, and kind of like just saw eye to eye and everything, and just become immediate friends. The way that happens. And so after that, every time I'd be around Manchester, I'd give him a call and say, I'm coming up that way, and do you want a beer, or do you want to grab something to eat, or if I'm doing a show with Kasabian, do you want to come to a show? So we just stayed in contact, and just every time we would get together, of course, I'm a bit of a drum geek on the quiet, and obviously he makes the things, and it just made utter sense that when eventually he came around to the idea of creating the British Drum Company, which he cooked up with Al Murray. Well, actually, neither of those realised that I knew them both, because obviously I'm very good friends with Keith, but I also knew Al through the business as well. And Keith was set on having a team this time. Instead of being a one-man band, he didn't feel it was enough just to build drums. He wanted to have a team, and then a team brings a story. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Has it surprised you how quickly it's gone? How
well, it has.
It's gone?
It has. I mean, to think that I'm a partner in a manufacturing company to start with is amazing. Going to the factory. Now we're on to our second factory now, and I'm so fiercely proud of it. And as I say, being involved with the manufacturing company was one thing that was like alien to me, but also being a lifelong drummer and lover of the whole thing. The idea you could have told the young me, well, not only are you going to land up touring the world with this band, and seeing the world and playing to huge audiences that soak up every moment, which in itself is a major prize in life, major thing. Yeah. That you're going to have your own company that makes drums as well.
That you can put on the stage at these major events.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel extremely blessed. Well, extremely lucky.
Let's talk about that, because not a lot of people know that you are, like you say, you are a drum geek or a drummer. A working drummer. Yeah. So when you're not out with Kasabian and you're playing in front of these you go up, you rock up at your local places. Well, yeah. Do a lot of you're gigging all the time.
Yeah, I try to keep busy. I mean, I come from I was a kid when I started drumming, and actually I was 7 when I did my first paid gig with my dad, and his drummer was ill, and he threw my drums in the back of the car with his organ, and we went off to the back room of a pub in Wells somewhere. I think it's called the Globe, and I did music for dancing, because I've been learning to play since I was about 4 from this teacher around the corner. Dad wanted me to play piano. I wanted to play drums. I still remember it, So because I've been playing for a few years, I could hold down these old dance.
Oh, so it's all like bossa novas and quick steps and foxtrots and
foxtrots and the Farmer's Wife and the Velita.
What, 7?
Yeah, 7. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I got that also gained the trust of my dad. He was like, "Yeah, you can do this." And I got £5 and I got loads of Coke and crisps and everything, and right. So I started to do more gigs with him, and when I was I think I was 10 when I did my first cabaret in a club with my dad, and these two guys ran. One of the guys ran a youth club in Bristol, and they once a year rented out the Bristol Hippodrome to do like a gang show type of thing for the youth club. It's a boys' club, and although I was from a different part of the city and not a member of the club, he was bowled over that. This little 10-year-old could like literally, they'll come into the room, have their music that they want to play, and I was like, there's this little lad, and I dealt with it. So I got the gig to do the pit job. I think I was 11 when I did my first pit gig in front of 2,000 people. So what I'm trying to say is I've got this background in Bristol, because as you can imagine, I've gone through school. I've done marching band, I've done orchestra, I've done Saturday morning orchestra, and I've started playing with adult musicians. I wasn't like thinking about like X Factor style limelight stuff, being a rock star or doing any of that. I wanted to get away from that life, and I wanted to create my own life supported by what I love doing, doing it myself, and that was my primary aim, which is great. So obviously now my networking gets more and more. I start teaching, doing the Bristol schools and stuff, and I get into some quite good Bristol bands and things. I kind of ducked out of that scene when I was 32 when I started, in 2004, got on the bus with Kasabian. I met them in 2001.
So you did 12 years of like doing
serious.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this my.
Yeah.
It
wasn't an overnight success as some people think it's.
No.
It's a hard slog.
But it was success because I was paying for my lifestyle. I mean, I was shared house and stuff. Living in shared houses. Yeah. But being that person, living off of playing and teaching drums, I didn't have to go and get booted around for being 1 minute late for work. And in an office or in some kind of yard or something. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, that to me was I was happy, and then the Kasabian thing booted off. I mean, obviously I'd met them in 2001 through the Bristol scene. They came down to do their first album before they were signed, and of course I was a Bristol drummer, and the guy around the studio was like, you got to use this guy, and I went in. That's when I first met them, and so that's kind of. My life didn't change then. They went away and got signed in 2002. I used to go up to Leicester and do bits on the album for them through 2002. Kind of dropped off 2003. I was working with another friend of mine's band who was signed to Virgin, a band called Ilya. And then I get a call from the management in 2004 going, we need you. They tried out some different drummers, nothing worked out. And they had a 2-week tour with a band called the Von Bondis. And they were like, we've got 2 weeks. Well, I got a few gigs in the book, but it's Easter, so I'm not teaching at school. I'll come and do it. What a riot that was.
Right.
And it was songs I loved. A lot of them I've recorded anyway. And we got on like a house on fire, and Serge just turned around when I got home. I got a call, and he was like, Ian, we can support you. We got tour support from the record company. Come on, what do you say? What do you say? Yeah. The most is going to be like 18 months of an album cycle.
16 years later.
16 years later.
Yeah, brilliant.
So back to your original. I know I've gone off there, but back to your original question. When we're off tour, and I've always had this understanding with the boys. When we're off tour, I've got all these mates that I've met through those years that I love playing with still. And some of them I've done so well within the music industry themselves that they tend to go away doing a lot of things, and then when we all come back and we all sort of arrange jazz and funk gigs. The beauty with those kind of gigs is as long as you know the heads, you can you don't have to rehearse. It doesn't have to be a project. It doesn't have to be booking rehearsal rooms and making it a big thing. You can kind of just rock up, set a kit up and play, try and nestle in to the style, and it gives me a challenge and it keeps me playing. Okay, so we're here at the O2 Areana in London, and it's gonna be a great night actually. I've got my British Drum Company kit with me, of course. On this tour, I'm running a Legend series kit, which is 100% birch, but I also have a Merlin snare drum, 14 by 6.5, which is a beautiful addition to the kit. It sits perfectly within the dynamic of the kit, and it gives Ben, our front of house engineer, lots of body and snap to deal with, and he's a big fan of this snare drum actually. So I've got basically, as I say, 14 by 6.5 Merlin snare, 13 by 9 rack tom, and floor toms are 16 by 16, and I've got a monstrous 18 by 18 here, and it's a beautiful wide open tones. I literally just control them a little bit with a tiny bit of moon gel, just for focus for the mics, really. But I like an open sounding kit anyway, and this drum kit suits that perfectly for me. And on the bass drum, we got a 24 by 16. It's not too deep. And I've got an internal miking system on this. I got a Shure Horseshoe and I got a flat mic in there as well. Both the mics work together to create a massive sound from the bass drum. It suits this music perfectly.
See, this is what I like about you as well, because, okay, you're in a big rock band, let's face it. Kasabian's a big, massive rock band, very recognisable rock band, okay? So, you're not into that, are you? The whole fame, you're quite happy to go and play in a little pub with your mates, and probably half the people in the audience don't even know that you also...
Especially with the proper jazz gigs, yeah.
Yeah.
No, sometimes like the more the funk stuff, which is a bit more hyper music, I do get people recognise me and they go, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
Do you live in Bristol? Just like, well, yeah, I'm with my mates. I'm from Bristol, and I'm just exercising myself. I'm enjoying myself. Got my, it's with other musicians. You find you don't tend to go out for a beer with other musicians. Friendships with other musicians come through a gig.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you ask each other out on a night. We're going to do a gig next week. Yeah, to come down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's that side of my life. Don't get me wrong. My God, I love this.
Yeah.
And I'm not like in that sense when you say about hungry for fame and all that. No, not so much. But I do enjoy it when I'm in this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I'm not in this world, it's exciting to go out and just play off the cuff and keep playing.
Yeah.
So you're kicking a ball against the wall.
That's right.
Playing paradiddles every day. It's like
well. So on that, normally most people say the same thing. But what do you enjoy about touring with these guys? What's your favourite part about touring, and what's the least favourite thing about touring?
That's a really hard question because it's such a complex question for me. But the obvious stuff is like, going out onto a stage and just seeing people who want to hear your music. Sometimes it's in a smaller room, depending on what kind of tour we're doing. Sometimes, like tonight's going to be 20,000 people out there. And the sound, the rush you get when the lights come down, you're side of stage and the lights come down and 20,000 people realise there are moments away from you coming on, and you hear that whoomph, and it is something. And when the gigs go swimmingly well, Kasabian, we always have a high quality of what we do. We always strive for that, but you can't help it. We're humans. Some gigs are like cream, and some gigs not so much cream. And you can feel them. Sometimes we are playing like amazing on stage, and the crowd need to be worked. Sometimes we're not really quite so clever, but them out there at the front there, my God, they're going mad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so much variables, Of course, I love that. Of course, I love having people around. I don't have to set drums up and down. There's all these things. I get to tour the world. I get to be a gold member on the British Airways because I've done so many flipping flights this year.
Right.
My lifetime tier points through the roof. You know what I mean? It's such an adventure.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But there is another side to it as well. There's a side to it that reminds you it's not a holiday. It is work. Sometimes you've got quite a schedule that you have to adhere to. Sometimes, like for instance, we did a European tour. I think we did 28 flights in a month. Right. All zipping all around Europe. And, you do Benicassim Festival and you headline that and you go on at 1 o'clock in the morning. You're not coming off to have 2 in the morning. By the time you're transferred back to your hotel, it's gone 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you've got to be up next day, 9, to drive to Valencia to get, or wherever we went, I can't remember, back to Barcelona, I think it was, to get the next flight to the next place. Yeah. And because it's Europe, it's always a connecting flight, So there's certain sides of it which it reminds you, come on, you've got to get on with this.
Yeah.
And also conversely doing the small gigs, like going back home, that's a buzz as well. And actually, I love packing my drums down. Yeah. I love whacking a drum kit in the back of the car and then dragging it out, pushing on my back like a snail, hardware bag, and then setting it all up and I love it. And there's a zen to packing a drum kit down at the end of the night,
You are such a drum geek.
I am.
Yeah, you said it.
I became a Zildjian endorsee back in 2008. So I've been with them nearly 10 years, which is amazing. And I've always loved Zildjian cymbals. And Tina, who is our representative in the UK, got in contact with me, and I went to their original offices in Ascot, where they had this basement. And she made me a cup of tea and led me down to the basement, and it was just wall-to-wall cymbals. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Starting with A's, A customs, K's, K customs, Constantinople's, orchestral stuff. This side were like just hi-hats, for just pigeonholes of hi-hats, going again, A's, A customs, K's, K customs. And with like stacks of splash cymbals all the way along. And she just said, go on down there and... I'll see you when you're finished. And I think I nearly cried, actually. And they were amazing, the support they've given me. And I believe that the sound that they create, the feel of the cymbals, just suits my playing. And as I say, on top of that, the support they've given me has been amazing. So on this kit, I've got a pair of 14-inch new beat hi-hats. And as Mike just pointed out to me, they look a little bit used, these. Actually, when I went down to Ascot for the first time, these were there. I think they'd been used already by somebody, and I think they were quite well used, but they just sounded amazing. I was like, Tina, can I take these? She went, yeah, of course you can. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they're shiny or not. It's more about the sound, and these cymbals just jumped out at me. And now I've got... for touring, I use an 18-inch thin dark crash, matched with a 19-inch. A 19-inch thin dark crash over there. So they're quite big cymbals, but they fill the sound and they work within the context of the kit. I've got a 22-inch custom dark ride here, which is a beautiful cymbal. It's got a lovely wash. So all the cymbals really work so well with each other. And I've got a 19-inch hybrid China cymbal. Again, it's a kind of a brighter sound in its trashy way, but it just works to accent stuff, accent beats and phrases and stuff, away from that sort of dark sound of the K, really. And I find these cymbals really explosive, really expressive. They play well at low dynamic, and they completely open up when I lay into them. And because they're quite thin, they're really quite durable. So they seem to last really well, actually. So for Fire, which is the last song of the set, I change out this 22 for a 22-inch Z ride, which I think Zildjian have possibly even stopped doing now. It's like an elephant ballerina, that cymbal. It's heavy, it's thick, but it's got a beautiful tone, and it gives me a nice ting sound, which I use specifically for Fire, basically. So, and it's got a nice sort of different crash sound as well.
Okay, what's your favourite, most memorable gig you've done with these guys?
Last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, last night. Manchester MEN. You could feel that crowd.
Right.
They were a beautiful crowd. But mind you, on saying that, I don't want to be unfair to Glasgow. Because Saturday night, Aberdeen, Newcastle, just incredible.
See, I thought you were going to say Leicester after they won the championship. I thought you were going to say that one, or the Premiership. Sorry.
Well, we did the two days at the King Power Stadium. Yeah. Again, just ridiculous, amazing. Glastonbury 2014 headline on that stage on the Sunday. As I said, my history of Bristol drumming meant that a lot of the artists landed up playing the small stages dotted around Glastonbury site. I did my first gig there in '94, and I hadn't missed many Glastonburys leading up to 2004, starting with Kasabian. In fact, when we did the first on the other stage on the Friday with Kasabian, that was only a few months into me touring with them. And I did another 2 gigs that weekend.
Right.
On the side.
Brilliant.
With my mates.
Yeah.
You know, but I'd spent every year I've been there. I've spent, and as each year clocks by in my life, I would sit there and watch artists on that pyramid stage, and that pyramid stage was an icon to me. It was a bucket list. You know, I was talking to Joe Donovan about this from the Blossoms just yesterday. There's certain things in your life as a musician that maybe when you're thinking beyond of the out of the box, you know, you're thinking about that side of you which does have that dream. You think first ever tour bus. It's a thing. What was to me, you know, first gold disc or silver disc. I remember when I was given one. Do you know what I mean? You know, headlining Glastonbury. Actually, not even headlining Glastonbury. Getting on that damn pyramid stage. Yeah. There was a time I would have gone on them swept up if it meant I could get on that stage.
Just to get, brilliant.
I never imagined it would happen for me, you know. So when we did it first time with the Arctic Monkeys, I think it was a Friday night, was it 2006? And the news came in from the management, and I was like, my God. And I spent a few months leading up to that, winding myself up about it, to the point when we were in the coach on the way to site, I came up in hives.
Oh, really?
And nerves, you know what nerves are like. We've had those moments. Tune in, you're back, you know. Halfway through that set, we were playing Empire, and I was sat on that stage, and I hated it because I was so nervous. And I was playing the groove like this. I was thinking, what if my arm just stops? I would never forget that. I came off that stage a bit angry, actually. I didn't enjoy it.
Right.
I went too far with my nerves. So the next time we played it, we supported Bruce Springsteen on a Sunday night. And I went on, I was like, right, I'm going to have, you know, I'm going to have the stage. Yeah. It's almost like I've had my own drama, my own narrative with the stage. And I came off enjoying it. And by the time we headlined it in 2014, I'd had my time with that stage, and I just went on. I just enjoyed that whole show. I just loved it.
Well, that brings me around to my final question. Actually, how do you prepare yourself before you go on stage for a big gig? Do you prepare yourself? Has your preparation changed over the years?
Again, there's certain rituals that happen within the band actually, which I'm part of. I guess, you know. And we've got a big music system that comes around with us. We've had it for years. It's in a big sort of chest that opens up. You know, it's like it's got like speakers. It's like a 2K rig, which is enough for a pub gig, really. Yeah. And people plug their iPhones in and play tunes.
Brilliant. And
so there's certain tunes that happen, and about half an hour before the show, you know, it all gets ramped up on there. You know, anyone who wants a tipple has a tipple. Right. But it has to be half an hour, not ahead. Right. Half an hour point. Okay. Yeah. Anyone who wants to not go on stage alone, that's the time. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And because the music's playing, I've got my drumsticks, so I start beating any surface that allows, along with the music that's being played on the system. Yeah. And then 10 minutes before, I go and get my in-ears, and Pete, our TM, gives me a chewing gum, Airwaves chewing gum.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Kasabian tastes of Airwaves to me. It has for years.
Yeah, brilliant. It's got a taste to it. Yeah, great.
You know, it is. It's Airwaves. It's amazing. The green ones. Yeah. And then that's kind of it really. If I'm feeling a bit gnarly, I might get my sticks out earlier. I've got a pad that knocks about in the wardrobe case, and I can have a bit of a...
So you mentally don't find you need to do anything to cope with nerves or anything like that? You just feel like that routine's fine? And
yeah, I mean, the thing, I had to have a word with myself at one point. I mean, again, I had another moment before going on stage at Tea in the Park. I was aware that suddenly, you know, I'm in this band and we're surrounded by celebrities there, and there's people with cameras, and there's about to go on the stage which looks like Mordor from Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, to face the throng, you know. And I'm like that. I remember it, and I remember telling myself that the only reason I'm here is because those boys like what I do. Yeah. Right? So I needn't do anything else. There's nothing I can do. Even if I don't do it very well, it's still what I do. Yeah. And then the reason us as a band, so put myself into the collective, are here, is because all them out the front love what we do. Yeah. So it makes no difference what we do. We've got nothing to prove. We just do it. Yeah. There's nothing to prove. No. Been a Remo endorsee for many years now, actually, and I mean, I'm very lucky with that. I use a controlled sound, coated control sound CS dot head on my snare drum, and I use a hazy underneath. The toms are all emperors, coated emperors, with coated ambassadors on the bottoms, on the resonance side. I think that promotes more of a kind of an attack in the sound, and for me, a little bit more of a vintage sort of style sound. The bass drums, I've got to check this. It's a power stroke. It's a power stroke, straight power stroke head, and I've got a lightly vented front head. But because I have the internal bass drum miking system, I don't have to have a hole or anything. So they literally just got like 3 small vents in the front head, which you can barely see off stage, really. And I think just makes it look a bit neater, really. You know.
Why do you use coated on the bottom heads? You tried clears and just...
Yeah, I don't know. As I say, it's that vintage vibe. It's like what the drummers of old used to do, really. And I kind of have used clears on the bottom. I think it's probably more just of a feeling. It's a thing. I don't know how incredibly important it is. I think the less coating you have, probably the more of a pure sound you get. I think the coating kind of like scuzzes up the sound, makes it more interesting. I get plenty of throat from these drums, plenty of tone. So it's kind of got a nice rasp, a nice kind of a nice mid sort of like grr in the sound. I like that. I don't like it to be too pure sounding, really. So.
One more question regarding the heads. How many times do you have to change them out?
Roughly, I think the snare drum is every show, just to keep it like sounding nice. There occasionally it might creep into 2 shows, but it's usually every show. The toms tend to be 3 shows. And again, Laurie, the guy who looks after my drums, he'll kind of tune them up, and he might decide to go for a fourth show. I do a lot of tom work with this band, so the toms do come under quite a lot of pressure. So, you know, it's not a case of it's just a case of the heads starting to lose that sweet tone, really, and starting to kind of go off a bit bangy sounding. The bass drum, we can get roughly 8, 9, sometimes 10 shows out of the bass drum. Again, it just starts to get a little bit thwacky, starts to feel a bit strange. So, you know, it's not too bad, but yeah, we do turn them around a little bit, you know. I've been a fan of Vic Firth for many years. Again, a company that's helped me out over the years through my career. I use on tour. I use Vic Firth American Classic 5As, and they put my signature on them as well. Yes. Well, I find it's durable, but because it's not so fat and heavy, it means I've got lots of speed left in the stick. I'm not having to drag the stuff up, and if I want to do something quick around the kit, I'm not having to fight gravity. I mean, it's there, it's fast. I practice with 5Bs on a pad, which trains my wrists, so when I come back to the 5As, I feel as if I've got more flight in my wrists. And then when I'm home, I do some jazz gigs with my mates and stuff, and I very often use 7As for that, which I find is a perfect stick for, like, you know, getting nice and light on the cymbals and doing that. So I kind of use a selection of sticks, really. And I got some pom-poms as well for cymbal swells and things. So it's cool.
You probably had more to prove when you were playing functions and you know, getting
yes.
You know, because shows back in the day.
Yes, because you're trying to switch on the musicians around you, and that's all part of the networking.
Yeah.
You know, making friends, but also making associates through music as well. And you want to play your best, because you never know who's playing bass that night, who's on lead trumpet or whatever, who turns around and go, "Oh yeah, I like you." Drummer's in trouble in a couple of weeks. Do you want to do a gig?
Yeah.
And then you on to the next one. You know.
And you've already got them.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, like if you're playing in, like, say, a function band, for instance, they're all your scouts.
Yeah.
The musicians around you become your scouts for you, and they lead you in different paths. You know what I mean? So in a way, yes, you have to be more on your game always, as a person and as a player. You know, because you want to keep your business, you want to grow your business.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and you see all the faces in the audience as well. Sometimes there's only 30 of them, so you can see them all. Where you're playing tonight in front of 20,000, you're only going to see iPhones.
Yeah, Yeah, no, you can see it all going. You can see it all going. You know, I mean, if you could see what I see in my eyes when we're playing, it's probably just like all this. That's my head's going around the drums. Lights coming in.
Thank you very much for your time.
Well, yeah, thank you for coming.
It's always good to catch up with you. Have a good one tonight.
Thank you, Mike.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.